Hey there, Dragon Folk. How are y'all doing today? I hope everybody's having a fantastic day as always. Um, this week is going to be very, very weird just to kind of start the episode off. Throughout the weekend, and I'll make another mention to this on Thursday. Thursday will begin the preview season for Dominaria United, but I will actually be on vacation during that time. So I'm gonna get you guys set up with a whole bunch of lore videos at the time, and then when we'll make a video on Thursday on the initial, spoiler episode, and then we will go ahead and move on from there. When I get back from vacation, I'll go ahead and make another video going over all the spoilers that happened over the weekend, so that way I can get that information to all of you if you have not been keeping up with it. So that is the first amount of news here. So second off, let's get into what I want to talk about in this video today. So today, again, another off-script kind of concept here, but mainly what I wanted to talk about today is I wanted to talk about how to kind of get yourself started with Magic the Gathering, right? As far as a general idea into how to bring yourself into the community. There's plenty of different ways to kind of be a Magic the Gathering, community member, right? Whether that be through collecting, whether it be through playing. I wouldn't really consider investors like a part of like the whole entire community. I believe investors are looking at this specifically as a way to make future profits. So and flippers also I don't believe are like actual good. I guess genuine parts of the community. I believe the players and the collectors pretty much, those two are the things that kind of hold a community together, right? There's the collectible aspect of things, and then there is the playable aspect of things. So a lot of people are wondering, right, like kind of how to get into Magic the Gathering, right? Where to start doing things, where to start looking, right? There are several things that you can start at. And a lot of these things all depend on your social anxiety. I know quite a lot of us probably have some social anxiety. I know I do. I've gotten over that a little bit more with being able to talk to a camera, and also the fact that I have there's just tons of friends that I have, and the more people I talk to on a regular basis, working customer service has also helped. Kind of getting me out of my social anxiety. I can, even if I have to put on a face to, to go to an LGS or to do something of that nature, then that's what I got to do. But social anxiety is a pretty crazy thing because you kind of have two different ways you can kind of get yourself into Magic, right? I personally think that a fantastic way to get into Magic the Gathering is through Magic the Gathering Arena. Arena is the, which I will pretty much refer to as Arena or MTG Arena from this point forward. Arena is the one of the online platforms for Magic the Gathering, and it doesn't have the entirety of the card base throughout the entirety of the game, but it's got a decent amount where you can at least learn a bit about the game, and also if you wanted to keep up on a standard or keep up on any of the new sets, Arena does have a lot of standard support for that format, right? And I think that that's a great way to start, is something like standard. And then as you kind of want to move yourself onto other constructed formats such as Explorer or even Historic. Historic's a little weird though. One of my main concerns with getting started on Arena is strictly the fact that alchemy exists. I think that alchemy in its own right has a fun aspect to it, and I think people will find a way to enjoy it. There are plenty of people who enjoy playing alchemy. So if you're one of those people, right, I'm happy for you, and I would like to toss my hat into alchemy at some point just to kind of see how things go. But alchemy is a digital-only format for Magic the Gathering. So if you're trying to kind of bridge the gap at some point and, play Magic the Gathering Arena or play Arena and then transfer those skills over to paper, right, which is just like physical, physical cards, then Arena can be a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing if you pretty much stick to standard, and even Explorer is probably the great ways to start that. But anything else, maybe even limited formats like drafts and sealeds, like sealed events. These are all great ways to kind of get yourself set up and kind of going into Magic the Gathering, and it's information that you're going to be able to process and learn and play, even in regular formats. There's plenty of YouTubers, including myself. I hope to get kind of into this, that help make decks. Right, we think of deck ideas, and then we play a few rounds of playing that deck on the ladder, which is like the ranked system, which is where all like the pro players will play at. And that is a great way for us to test how these decks stand against other competitive players. Now, from a competitive standpoint, right, that is kind of the better way to go. Climbing up the ladder is honestly super easy. You can get all the way up until gold. Really, if you wanted to, you could probably get up into platinum without really like dropping down ranks. Once you get into silver, you will start losing some points, but you'll never go down back into bronze. And once you get into gold, you'll never go back down into silver. But once you're in platinum, you have an opportunity to go back down into gold. So just keep that in mind as you go forward with the rank system. But it is a nice way to kind of be able to just test decks, see what things are available. Play testing certain cards. Let's say, you put 4 of these cards in your deck, but you're not really sure how 4 plays out. You'd rather probably play 3. So you can just take that card out and put the other card that you want to swap it out with in, and that can work out just fine. There's a lot of ability to play test on Arena, simply because you don't have to buy a new card every time you want to test a deck. If you have the wild cards for it, you can craft it, and that is pretty great. Now, it's very easy to spend all of your wild cards really, really easily and just, have a bunch of cards that don't end up going in the same deck. My advice to those who are starting on Arena, find your favorite color combination, right? And focus on making a competitive deck around that. That is going to be the better way to kind of go about learning this. They do give you 10 decks that are color challenge decks that you can start with to kind of learn what each deck's, pros and cons are, essentially, as far as their play style. With like Golgari, which is black-green, having a lot of, graveyard effects. Red-blue, which is Izzet, having a lot of spell casting and, dealing a lot of spells and not so big on creatures. There's a bunch of different stuff that you can check out, and that is going to be a great benefit to you, considering they give you 10 decks for free. Now, what you can do with your wild cards is you can actually do what I did when I started, which is out of those color combination decks, those color challenge decks, find the one you like to play the most, and then you can even look online or find cards for yourself if if you know how to deck build in Magic the Gathering. Find cards that will upgrade that deck so you have to spend less wild cards. Spending less wild cards is essentially the goal, and it gives you a competitive deck without having to put too much extra effort into it. And then you can pretty much just run that deck all the way until a new set drops, or until something else changes, or until you get enough wild cards to where you can, make another deck. I suggest doing something along those lines. It makes it real nice and simple. Now, those decks that they give you for the color challenge decks are standard specific, so you can play them in standard. You can play them in Explorer as well, and in Historic, but Explorer and Historic have access to cards that are a wider range of cards. So it's not going to be a very fair fight for you, but if you really want to try it out, you definitely could, but I personally would stick with the standard ladder for those upgraded color challenge decks if you happen to go that route. So that's pretty much it for Arena. There's a little bit here and there. Obviously, I have a guide out to get a lot of gold and ways to get gold and ways to get gems for free. So you can go ahead and check that out. But I'll go into more like in detail, I guess, as far as arena goes in a more arena focused video. The other thing that I want to talk about is getting started in your LGS, which is your local game store. Just about every town probably has one. If not, you're probably within like a 20-30 minute, drive of a local game store. If you're not, obviously, however far you're willing to drive is up to you. But I suggest at least visiting a local game store and seeing what kind of environment it is. It's very hard to pick your favorite local game store. You know what I mean? An LGS is something special. I spent a good portion of my younger years in an LGS playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Was my hot thing then. And, I enjoyed thinking about even just going to an LGS back in the day. I mean, when I knew that it was the weekend and that they were going to do a tournament on Saturdays and that I had my deck all prepped and ready to go and I was willing to go there and meet up with a bunch of my friends, and I made a whole bunch of friends there. It was a really, really nice time. But I do know that it can be daunting to get into an LGS, which is where the social anxiety comes into, right? Honestly, if you have friends through school, if you have friends through, even like if you've made friends throughout any point, and you can go with them to a card shop, it makes it a lot easier. But if you do end up going by yourself, there are a couple things that you can do in order to kind of ease your way into it, right? First, I would say get to know the staff. Get to know the people who work there, right? The people who work there should have they should have a ton of knowledge on the game. And if it is a local game store that is specific towards Magic the Gathering, they should definitely have a lot of knowledge on Magic the Gathering. Now, not every LGS has, somebody who's been playing Magic the Gathering for years, right? So you can't guarantee it because obviously people need jobs, and if there's a job opening, somebody's going to take it. But usually they're pretty well versed in the games. So as far as Magic the Gathering goes, even sometimes some other, they have other TCGs that people play there. That is also a, question for them. And as you get to know the staff and kind of feel more comfortable in the area, look at their product, right? See what kind of product they have available. Usually they sell, loose packs right out of boxes, which tend to go for cheaper than the packs you would find in Walmart or Target. So that is a great way to start if you're going to actually start buying like loose packs. But I have a whole video on why you shouldn't buy loose packs that I hope to make at some point later on down the line. So with looking at their product, you're going to kind of be able to figure out where their prices are at, right? I'm on the fence, because there's obviously, you have to realize that an LGS is a business, and as a business, they need to make money. That's their first and whole reason to open up a business, is to make money. And a lot of this, when they open a business like that, they open it with their passion for getting their own store set up and, bringing the community together, which is fantastic. But at the end of the day, you need to make money as a business. So check their prices. I know that there are some LGS that do pretty cool sales on stuff every now and again, but comparing everything to online market prices it's not a great way for you to start buying stuff, because you could check the prices online and I guarantee you they will be more expensive at your LGS. But that's obviously because the LGS has to pay for things like overhead, they have to pay their employees, they have to pay the rent and the bills for the place that they are in. So when you're buying product from an LGS, you're not just buying, something for yourself, you're also supporting the place in which you can go play in like sanctioned tournaments, or even just a casual place for you to go and hang out, right? So think about that when you're buying product from an LGS. Sometimes LGSs will take full advantage of these higher prices. Some of them will just really try to rack in as much money as possible. Obviously, if you can find a better deal at another LGS, that's fine. If you don't care about playing at an LGS and you're just looking to buy things from places, I still suggest supporting an LGS. But if your goal is to not use the amenities of an LGS, then probably just buy your stuff online. Because believe it or not, some LGS, at least I would imagine most LGS, sell their stuff online as well for usually cheaper prices. So something to think about as far as that. But I think the big thing here, after you've kind of checked their product out and see what they have, check to see their staff and see, what kind of staff is there, kind of meet the staff and see what they're all about. The next step is to meet the other players, right? To meet the regulars, or even just some of the other new players that are there at the LGS. I can't tell you an exact way in which is the best way to make friends, because frankly, that just kind of comes natural to me. I usually end up sitting alone, and it's not until somebody sits across from me, or I enter into a tournament and I go against another individual. That's when usually that individual starts talking to me. I talk to them, and we have a little bit of a conversation. I crack some jokes. They laugh at the jokes. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, cool, we're kind of more buddy-buddy than we were previously. But I do know it's hard, and especially for people who only play Commander. Commander is a multiplayer format, right? And so there are usually a lot of people at LGS who love to play Commander. So from a casual perspective, going in there and just being like, just asking people if they're down for a game of Commander. If your social anxiety is bad and you see other people playing Commander, maybe sit near them, right? Watch their game. Even if you're just observing, right? Ask to see if they're okay with you sitting there and observing their game. And who knows, right? Maybe when you're flipping through your deck, somebody will look over and they'll go, "Oh, it's a neat little Commander deck there. What did you make?" So I'm just spitballing ideas, right? These are all hypothetical situations, of course, but the players are a big deal. I've seen, I'm telling you, it turns out to usually be that if the staff is bad, sometimes that can lead to poor things, right? Like obviously they're running the business. So if the staff is negative and rude, you don't want that, right? You don't want your server at a restaurant spitting in your food. You wouldn't want an LGS owner to essentially, deny you a sale of a $15 card because he thinks you should buy a $25 card. So that's kind of a different attitude towards it. But rudeness exists, and there are also a lot of elitist players. What I mean by elitist players, there are players who believe they are the best, and everybody else who even, whoever claims themselves as somebody of average to low skill in Magic the Gathering, they believe them to be beneath them, right? These elitists believe that they're beneath them, that they're not worthy of their time. So if that's like you asking your teacher, what does this ability mean? And your teacher going, figure it out yourself. You should have learned this when you started playing, you idiot, right? Like you don't want that, right? And I've heard there are a lot of people who have had bad experiences at LGSs because they're just people who don't care to help. And I hope to bring a lot of helpful stuff to everybody, and I really do hope that as the days go on, I bring more and more guides for everybody to kind of go through. But this is going to be it's a very rough time for learning whether or not a player is going to be an elitist. Sometimes you can just kind of get a vibe off of them. But that is kind of learning about the LGS environment. Now, as far as what to build if you're going to enter a tournament at an LGS, this is where I believe Magic the Gathering Arena and Magic the Gathering in paper are a nice combination, right? You can't really find a whole lot of places that do standard Friday Night Magic. If your place does do it, it is going to be easier to transfer that over. But you do at least have things like Tabletop Simulator and Cockatrice, I think, is another thing to do this on, as well as things like Spell Table. These are all online tools, right, that you can use to pretty much generate cards in. Well, Spell Table, you don't really generate cards in. It's just you using a webcam and it knowing what card you have. But Cockatrice and Tabletop Simulator are both like you can generate entire decks and play them against your friends online. So if you make online friends, which there are plenty of Facebook groups you guys can join, including the Magic the Gathering for Beginners group, which I do make a few videos for every now and again. They are a fantastic community. There's no judgment on how dumb you may think your question is. We will answer it because we'd rather you be informed than turned away. So that's my whole philosophy against that. But as far as finding a deck for you to actually play, there's a difficult kind of choice between that, right? If you've never played online before and this is your first time playing, you step into an LGS and the first thing you do is you're just like, well, it sounds like they have a tournament going on tonight. I'd like to join. That'd be pretty cool, but how do I do that? You usually will start by asking the store owner what the event is for the night. And in my experience, a lot of times they have Pioneer events happening, which are still constructed formats, but they are not as limited in their stuff, such as with Standard. There's a little bit more extra sets that are in that list for you to build a deck off of. So luckily, though, if they are running a Pioneer event for their Friday Night Magic, or for really whatever they're doing as far as when you go, usually a LGS has Challenger decks available. So Challenger decks specifically are pre-constructed decks that are meant, they're already all set aside. All the cards that you need to kind of get the idea of how the deck runs are inside of it. And it is a pretty much right out of the box experience that you can use to start playing at that time. All you'll need is some sleeves, right? I think is the only thing that you'll need to worry about. You get some sleeves, maybe a deck box, and you'll be able to go ahead and put that all together and play it. Now, some of the decks have banned cards in them, so I obviously would not worry about that. I would ask the owner or ask the person on staff if that deck has anything banned in it. But I think by the time everybody's starting to kind of get into this, that's going to all change. So the other thing that you also have are pre-constructed Pioneer decks. So you have pre-constructed Pioneer decks, pre-constructed Challenger decks, which are standard, right? I shouldn't say standard. It is standard. They're standard decks. So Challenger decks are for the standard format. Pioneer decks are for the Pioneer format. And then they have pre-constructed Commander decks as well, which are, 99 card decks with one Commander, and they're based off of a certain kind of playstyle and are sold for like $40 a piece usually. And those are good for Commander, right? Commander, like I said, it's a multiplayer format, so it's a little more, you have to get more people kind of invested, at least anywhere from 3 to 5 people, to kind of get like a really, really good game of Commander going. But I'm sure if people just wanted to play a 1v1, that wouldn't be the end of the world either. So yeah, that's pretty much a good introduction, I would say, to getting started in Magic. I know it wasn't in super detail and pretty vague, but if you don't have the means to leave your house or you don't have the time to go to an LGS, Magic the Gathering Arena is a great place for you to start. And then if you ever wanted to start getting into more like paper tournaments or sanctioned tournaments, you can go to your LGS and you can just use the same deck that you were playing on Arena and play it in whatever format it is that's going on during the event. And as long as the format is the same and there are no banned cards in it, you're good. It's pretty straightforward and easy. So I always love to see that. That it's just you get a lot of things that just have a right out of the box experience and make it work. So if you enjoy playing online, not only is Arena for the computer for PC, it's also for mobile too. So being able to play on the go at any point you want is very nice as far as kind of continuing to practice what keywords do what and what abilities do what and how to best tweak your deck. Every one of us carry a phone on us, so it's going to be an easy way for you to kind of learn how things work and kind of keep an eye on stuff. But if Arena isn't your jam, and LGS, there's plenty of people there. It's like having the entirety of a customer service representative at your fingertips. Just about everybody there knows how to play Magic, or, whatever card game you're currently looking into. There's probably a decent amount of people who know how to play it and can teach you specifically how to play the game as well. Now, of course, do not be discouraged if there are rude people at your LGS. Again, these people exist, unfortunately, and I wish everybody was on the same page when they realize that if somebody is new, that you would treat them with respect and help them learn how to play the game. But sometimes people don't do that. Sometimes people have a $2,000 deck, and that when you go up against them with your $50 budget deck, they call you a whole bunch of names and, make you want to quit forever because you don't have the money to buy that $600-700 card. But do not be discouraged, right? I've seen plenty of budget decks beat plenty of high value decks, and it's all just comes down to what you draw. So at the end of the day, the skill that you have as a player is so much more important than the value of your deck. So just keep that in mind when you're doing deck building or when you're looking at stuff, because I see a lot of players kind of not realizing that. A lot of people will see that this deck is worth $2,000 and they'll go, cool, I need to buy that deck in order for me to win this tournament. And then when they lose, they go, but wait, I spent $2,000. I don't understand how this didn't work. It's just important to learn the game, right? Play budget for a little while until you get more of a hang of it. And then as you go on, you'll learn more and more. But that's going to be the end of today's episode. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I do really appreciate your support. Hopefully we can go ahead and continue down this line of me teaching you guys kind of, beginner tips as to how to kind of get yourself more comfortable playing Magic with people, or even just through Arena if you wanted to do that. Magic the Gathering Online is also something you can do, but that is entirely a different video. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate your support, and of course, we will be going into the spoilers as of Thursday, so hopefully I can get that video up to you guys, sometime that night. I may or may not even skip the MTG roundtable to talk about it, but if I get it done before the roundtable, you guys will see me on there, so hopefully that can be a thing. And then I have to give you a bunch of stuff for over the weekend, but we'll talk about that Thursday. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate it. We're rising up to close to 350 subscribers, so keep kicking butt. And again, thank you for allowing me to keep your attention for more than 5 minutes. And I will see you all very soon. Nerd out.